Find the second derivative y double prime, or d squared y dx squared, for the function y equals f of x times g of x. Then evaluate y double prime of 3, where we have all that information. Y here is the product of two functions, neither of which is known, f of x times g of x. The derivative, y prime or dy dx, will therefore make use of the product rule. We will have the derivative of the first, we will call that f prime of x, times the second left alone, g of x, plus the first left alone, f of x, times the derivative of the second, we will call that g prime of x. The second derivative, y double prime or d squared y dx squared, will then be a product rule for this first term added with the product rule for the second term. The first term, the derivative of the first, derivative of f prime, we will call f double prime of x times the second left alone, g of x, plus the first left alone, f prime of x, times the derivative of the second, g prime of x. And now we'll have the product rule for the second term. The derivative of the first, we will call that f prime of x, times the second left alone, g prime of x, plus the first left alone, f of x, times the derivative of the second, we will call that g double prime of x, for the derivative of g prime. So our second derivative, y double prime, or d squared y dx squared, will be f double prime of x times g of x plus, now the second and third terms, they're the same, and they can combine. We have one of each of them, combine them together, there will be two of them. 2 f prime of x times g prime of x, then plus f of x times g double prime of x. So there is what could be thought of as the product rule for the second derivative. Now that we have that, we can evaluate y double prime of 3. And y double prime of 3 will mean to plug a 3 in for each of the x's. So we'll have f double prime of 3 times g of 3 plus 2 times f prime of 3 times g prime of 3 plus f of 3 times g double prime of 3. Each of these values are given to us, so let's put them in place. F double prime of 3 is a negative 5. G of 3 is a negative 3. Plus 2 times f prime of 3 is a negative 2. G prime of 3 is a 9. Plus f of 3, it's a 7. And then g double prime of 3, which is a 3. Negative 5 times negative 3 is positive 15, plus 2 times negative 2 is a negative 4, times 9. And then 7 times 3 is a 21. So we have 15, negative 4 times a positive 9 is a negative 36, plus a 21, and 15 minus 36 is negative 21. Negative 21 plus 21 will give us 0.